Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming from today?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland. Okay. I love
Yeah.
Portland. I lived in Seattle for 4 years and used to go to Portland all the time.
Oh, yeah,
Eons ago. Portland's changed a lot.
yeah. How are you feeling? I know you were sick. How are you
Yeah,
feeling?
I'm doing much better. Just getting my energy back, and little minor things, but I think I got pretty lucky overall. So,
Okay,
um,
good.
yeah. And how's the quarantine going for you in Portland?
Honestly, so far so good. I mean, as good as good as things can be. I mean, I'm pretty
Right.
fortunate. Right? I'm pretty fortunate that I love being stuck at home with my husband and the kids when we have them, and we have our garden, and we're able to yeah. We're pretty fortunate. We're cooking a lot, making art a lot, so things are good.
That's amazing. And is your studio at home or is it in a separate place?
This is my garage. Yeah, this is studio.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. I believe in maximizing space as much as possible.
absolutely.
And actually, it's funny because I know so many artists who have been cut off from their studios at different times because of the quarantines. So they've been sort of locked in their home and they're like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure.
what am I going to do
And
now?
I've moved around studios because I've had studios in satellite places at times, but for now, for the last couple of years, I've been at home, and it's just suiting my life right now to just have it right here. So it's been
Right.
good. It's been really good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to have your artwork in the show. Yours was one of the first pieces that we actually chose because it was just the vibrance of the color and the emotion and the theme of the work really appealed to us. Can you give me a little bit of background on your process in art and how this piece came to be and what the significance of it is?
Yeah. So also, I am so thankful, so appreciative for being a part of this show because it's such an incredible story to tell collectively that Existimos, we exist as a queer community, and we history often, either we don't exist, or if we do, it's in this like sort of bad light, and
Right. Yeah. Very
yeah.
small windows.
Right. And so the opportunity to tell our stories is incredible. So thank you. Um, yeah, I really like telling stories. I mean, just as a person, I love connecting with people. I love talking to people, and uh, connecting with stories is really how you learn about people. And so, so a lot of the pieces that I work on, they're portraiture, unconventional portraiture, skin, ideas of skin, and it's there are different ways of talking about identity and experience. And so the piece that's in this show, it's called Bien Chingona, and it's about this girl, this woman, this Latina, this chola that she's in the process of putting on her wingtip eyeliner, and she's getting ready to slay, and she's not like this idea of like slaying, like she's not getting ready to go out with her girls to like a club at night. It's not like her getup, it's not her costume, this is her, it's her identity. And she's getting ready to slay at the grocery store, or a DMV, or whatever. And that's just her life. And we it's important to me in the work that I do to help elevate the stories of my communities, of communities of color, of the queer community, because like I said, what our stories often aren't told. And so um, so, this story of this girl, this chola, who's getting ready. This is her identity. She's putting her skin on for the day, and she, like so many of us in our communities, don't see a hero that looks like us in history books, and we don't see heroes that look like us on TV, and so we often look to our own communities and our own families, chosen and given families, we often look within ourselves to find that hero, and we have to oftentimes be our own hero. We have to be strong, and this is the story of this girl being her own hero, and she is strong for her kids, for her family, for her community, and she's a badass. She is good at life, at her life. She's bien chingona, and she's doing it all. So so it's her story, and those stories are really, like I said, that's what is important to me. And I come about telling these stories in different ways. So sometimes I meet somebody, or I have a friend whose energy, whose story just really is speaking to me. And I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of those people in my life. But and so it'll be a painting of them and their story. Sometimes I have a story in mind. It's either mine or somebody else's that I have experienced, that I don't have the model, but I know somebody who would sit for me. Or sometimes it's a mixture of the two. And it's a lot of, intermingling of stories and actual people. Um, and uh,
What is
and
the
so
significance? What's the significance of being chingona in terms of her putting on her skin? The way you describe it, it almost sounds like she's putting on like an armor for the day too. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah, it's an armor that really, that is part of her identity. It's part of her culture. It's part of being unapologetic, and that's something that really like speaks to me on such a personal level, because that's something that I strive for, in my life, is being unapologetic. And sometimes I'm really good at it, and sometimes I'm not, and sometimes it's a choice to not be, and sometimes
Sure.
it's not. And so, sometimes there are safe spaces for us, and sometimes they're not safe, and so we hold back. And but she is chingona. She is unapologetic in putting on her armor, because that's who she is. That's her identity. And honestly, that's the Mexican American cholo culture is something that really speaks to me. I love. I eat it up. That aesthetic, that power, that unapologetic approach to their lives is something that's very sexy, because I want to be her. I want to like put on my wingtips and like just step out in the day every day and slay. And that's something, like I said, that I strive for.
And it takes so much courage to be yourself in the world today, and specifically in times like this, where where all of our ideals are being challenged all the time. I mean, in this environment of the pandemic, and the way it's twisted the politics of things, and how Black Lives Matters has risen to the top of the conversation right now. And you're in Portland. Have you attended any of the protests in Portland, or?
I haven't, because our household is, we have at-risk or high-risk individuals, and so we have to be really careful about leaving.
Sure.
But we support all of our friends who do. We support monetarily when we can, and we're definitely supportive in the conversations that we have, because it's a conversation that extends, of course, beyond protest, but in all facets of our community. And so we talk about it as often as we can.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see what's unfolding specifically there with the federal police coming in and things too. It's such a contrast to the culture of Portland as well. I don't fathom in my mind why they think that the response would be any different than it has been, but that's a whole other topic and everything.
Yeah.
And in your process of creating the work, you told me a little bit about how you find your models, and you have these ideas about your subject matter and things. Are you painting in oil paint? Are you painting in acrylic? Is it a mixed media?
So probably for the past like 10 plus years, it's been strictly oils.
Okay.
I love working with oils. I love the light that you can capture with oils. My technique specifically is not anything groundbreaking. It pulls from a lot of classical techniques, but it's layering translucent layers of paint on top of each other, and the process of doing so really allows light to travel through all those layers and then be reflected back and produce this really luminous glow. And when painting skin in particular, I feel like that's a quality that really assists the idea of like a real sense of skin,
Right.
because skin has that translucent quality. So I take my own photos. I work from only my own photos, and I it's important to me to, once I finish, that I throw away the photograph, and that's not part of the conversation anymore, because
Ah,
ultimately I don't want it to be about skill necessarily and say, oh, like this in comparing, and this looks exactly like it, or oh, it's a little different here, I wonder if that was intentional, and that's not about that comparison so much as using the skill of being more photorealistic to engage and to draw people in to the story.
yeah. I mean, we genuinely had a conversation at the beginning of the jury process. We're like, is this a photograph or is this a painting? Like we kept looking at it. We're like, but you did such a beautiful job with the luminosity of the skin and the texture, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful piece of
Thank
work.
you.
And I
Thank
follow
you.
your Instagram too. I mean, you're doing some amazing stuff. So I'm thrilled to have you as a part of the show too. And
Thank you. Thank you.
you have a love of Fabian Charis's work as well.
Yes. He's incredible. He's incredible. See, he is, I was super excited to find out that I was going to be in a show and that he was going to be in, but um, yeah, he's doing incredible work and telling incredible stories of, our brown queer community. And again, it's the storytelling that I think he does so well, that I love.
And who are some of the other influences you have as an artist?
So many, so many. I think my latest obsession is Bisa Butler. I don't
Okay,
know if you know.
generally.
She Okay, so she does quilting. She's a quilt artist, and her pieces are beyond incredible. They're talk about storytelling. So what she does is she creates these larger than life portraits, or full body scenes of individuals or families or groups of people, and they are made of these textiles that I believe she creates most of the
Oh,
actual textile. And the way that she captures a look and a
mm-hmm.
gesture and energy with quilting is like, just blows me away. It absolutely blows me away. And again, it's the storytelling that, like, I just am so drawn to her work. I'm so drawn to her work. So if you don't follow her, I would encourage you to, because she's just incredible.
Well, it's on my
Yeah.
list now. I'll check her out to see
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see. I've never really been attracted to sort of the folk art or textile art, and I've been introduced to so many different textile artists in the last couple of years that have just blown my mind because of the way that they, the way they tell their stories and use those materials, and and these alternative methods that they're using to tell those stories. So,
Yeah.
what is the story that you want to be told about your artwork? Let's say this is you're going into the MoMA for your retrospective.
Finally.
Finally, you're getting the recognition that you deserve.
Yeah.
what is the story that you want to be told about you and your artwork?
Uh, I I want my art to tell the stories of our communities. I want to elevate people and their stories that are continually being put down. And that's so important to me on a personal level, that I want the audience to get the story. I want them to engage with my work, both on this like sort of like the work that I do. Typically, for practicality reasons, I keep the scale fairly like smallish. Like I'm around 3 feet by 3 feet, somewhere around there. I love working much larger scale, because I love, just really getting into the detail. But um, what I want the experience to be about is, as you're seeing this, experiencing this painting from far away, you see the story that is being told. You see this person, this individual in their surroundings, and their expression and how they're looking at you and their gaze. That's really important. Um, and then as you step closer, it's a different kind of experience, because a lot of what I do is not. I really work to go beyond photorealism, and inject a lot more color into that visual conversation. And I love to bring to pack in a lot of color in these small moments in a painting, and create a lot of really dynamic, like tense moments that maybe you don't notice when you're far away, but you see there's a lot more movement than it would be in like a photograph, for example.
Right.
And that creates like those moments create a lot of movement in your periphery that maybe you don't understand, but as you step closer, you can sort of start to see those moments, and there's another story being told that way. There's this story of this paint as you follow it in this painting, and what it's doing over here and over there, and how these two moments are interacting with each other. So that's what I love to do, and that's what I want people to get from my paintings.
That's exactly what I got from it. So congratulations on that.
Yay. That's great. Yay.
Are you working on any projects right now, or do you have any projects coming up that we should be paying attention to? Or
Yeah, so I am working on a series of portraits, and I am telling the story of, well, I have some pieces that I'm working on right now. There's a friend of mine, this girl from a taqueria down the street from us, and these are people of color that are in my life, whether they're really close or they're just energy that I get in contact with. And so I'm creating a small body of work, of portraiture, telling the stories of these people. And once this is all, COVID is done with and lockdown is done with, and the world is in a little bit more stable of a place, I want to. The goal is to create a show with these that is accompanied with some audio interviews, because
okay.
That's a type of storytelling that I haven't really explored, and I watch a lot of interviews, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that's something that you get so much from that, and it's a different way of looking at their story, and so yeah, so those there'll be some audio interviews that accompany the pieces themselves.
I'd be interested to experience that, to see how it changes the story. If I only viewed the image, what story I would tell with the title, and then like how the audio would supplement that and change my experience of it. That's part of the reason that we're doing these interviews too, is because so often we don't really get to know what's happening behind the scenes of that piece of artwork, and we have these art theories and things that we can apply to it, and kind of guess our way through a story based on a title and things too. But that's to me, it's always been the deficit of a lot of shows. Is like, if you're not standing there with the artist having a conversation about their work, do you miss the point? Do you
Right.
I love it when people see my work and take something from it that I never thought of before. But I
Yeah.
do like the idea of, people, the story actually being told by the artist as well. So
Yeah. Funny you bring up your work, because what I love about what you're doing is, in my mind, it's sort of this, like, if you're this like really like close zoom into like the way that I think of my paintings, and like these like small moments of like interaction where like there's so much happening in this one moment, but as you step away, it becomes part of a bigger picture. And that's kind of how I see your work, which is it's a lot of fun to experience. I'm excited to see that in person at some point.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm trying to tell a story with a different media, but also I love painting, and so I have a disability with my hand, so it's really difficult for me to. I could never do hyperrealism the way that you do it because of my disability with my hand, but I can still express the same stories in a painterly way, which is what I really love about the paper and the paints and things that I use. It's a fun way to express, and it's a very I'm super tactile, so so it satisfies that need, of like, oh, because I've worked for so many years as a designer, so I always get frustrated with the two-dimensional quality of the screen and things. So I like the experience of feeling the paper and things. So
yeah, definitely.
Is artwork your sort of a medicine for you as well?
It is. I think more than I mean, I don't know if it's the same thing, but artwork, creating in general is my medicine. Whether I'm painting or dancing or making some furniture or designing or making clothes or bags. I love making stuff, and to me, I think the medicine behind it is more about the creative problem solving. I love like figuring it out, and that's kind of with regards to painting, when you have, again, like moments of color that maybe don't necessarily make sense together or don't make sense with the bigger picture. There's a lot of problem solving of like, okay, so now I need to layer on these colors to make this happen and to create this overall effect. So it's the creative problem solving that I love. I love doing it.
Well, I enjoy seeing your work, and I'm excited to see all the things that come forward in the next several years with you. So I hope that you continue creating, and I can't wait to see your work in person. I'm so excited about it. Next week we go to our space, and we'll be doing all of our space planning and things, and so I'll be so excited just to actually have all the artwork in a space and experience it. The digital shows are great, but there's nothing quite like standing right there in front of a piece of artwork. So
yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for participating and taking the time to meet with me today. And please, by the way, today I just published Fabian Charis's interview to the YouTube channel, so you could check that out too, and directly from him.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. I really, the opportunity to be a part of this show, this community, the opportunity to show in Mexico City. It is my favorite city in the world. The energy, the art that comes from there is just incredible. So, and then specifically creating the platform and the space for our community to tell our stories. I just am very appreciative. So thank you.
Well, it's not a given, and so I'm honored by the participation of the artists. And if you're ever coming to Mexico City, please stay at the residency with you and your family, and you can work while you're here, or you can enjoy the city, and maybe get to meet some of your artistic idols as well too. So
yeah, definitely, I'll take you up on that for sure.
Okay. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.